He's just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
We're back here on Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, two former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. We're moving on to another conference preview ahead of the 2023 college football season. Today, we're going to be doing Conference USA, which actually has some pretty good talent in it. Before we get to that, though, Sean, we have to recap the trip a little bit. I think that we definitely need to spend a little bit of time talking about the trip. We did record a bonus show that we're going to drop later on in the week of the first day that Sean was here to get some of his thoughts and first impressions. But Sean, how are you feeling after the trek home, by the way? I got to ask this. I didn't really get a full answer from you.
Well, trek home was fine. The delay was not a big delay, so I was okay with that. You get a super long delay, that's a problem, but we were chilling all right. Plane, American coach, very small seats, but we're doing okay there. The only problem was bag underneath the front of my seat. I was in a bad place. Once I got it out from underneath, I could stretch my legs out just a little bit more. Didn't have to get up once.
Okay.
And I pride myself on being a good airline passenger. I'm not going to fart on the plane. If I do, that's a big thing for me. I'm not going to be farting up my passengers next to me. I'm not going to try to get up and go to the bathroom. I can sit there for 6 hours and look straight ahead. That's what I can do. Okay.
You did that whole thing for a bit. You try to do the whole, I'm going to stare at the seat in front of me for the next 6 hours. You're trying to be, I'm going to be the tough guy on the plane. I'm not going to get up.
It's a little putty-esque, but also, no, I'm a courteous person. If I got the window seat, I think it's not courteous to go up and get to use the restroom 3 times a plane ride. I saw people all around me getting up from the window seat, crossing. And for me, I can't just step over somebody. The whole aisle has to get up.
Look, I know I don't want to do the whole, flying sucks. I'd rather actually talk about the trip. But my only just quick rounding out thought here: no one on an airplane is courteous. So
except for me,
I am on the belief that it's pointless being courteous because everyone else around you is going to treat you like crap. And you might as well
You're the problem.
Do what's going to make yourself the most
you're
comfortable.
The problem.
No, because I've tried multiple times to be courteous and to have to deal with people taking your overhead bag space and leaning their chair all the way back and, bringing babies on planes and then not getting a seat for them. And, they're crawling all over the place and they're screaming the whole plane ride. Like everybody's the worst. It's everybody's worst condition.
It is.
Do what makes you comfortable. Do what makes you comfortable.
No, I rise above. That's what I do. I do it for the betterment of the plane and the passengers around me. That's what I do. That's my virtue.
So you did come to Los Angeles.
I did.
For the first time. You came and visited. You were here from Thursday until Sunday morning. Tight window getting you out as you slowly slugged your way out of my apartment. I was not surprised, but was a little worried that we weren't going to make it in time to the airport because of how long it took you to get going. But regardless,
a notification. I said, I got another 30 minutes. That's nice.
General thoughts on the trip, though, of kind of getting to come and visit Los Angeles and to come hang out.
I get why people live there now. I get why people want to move there. If you go to one rooftop bar at a hotel and you have one drink up there looking over the skyline and the beach, I get it. I get it. I'm not, you know what? Wait, if I disagree with California or whatever about California and they're going to other states, whatever. I don't care about that. I now understand the baseline of why someone would want to move there. It's scenic, very tall palm trees everywhere. I like the big jokers, the big tall. I liked it when we were on the second rooftop and I was looking eye to eye with a palm tree. That made me happy.
Was that one on Saturday?
Saturday, yes. The cold rooftop where you kept on forcing me out into the cold, whereas I like the indoor little fire area. But regardless, I get it. It's gorgeous. You look at the hills and you say, "Oh, okay, those are the hills that I'm seeing." That it's a very nice spot. The Bungalow is the worst bar I've ever seen in America.
That was the whole point.
I would wager.
So wait, before you continue, I told Sean coming into this, anyone who's been to Los Angeles knows what the Bungalow is. I told Sean, I'm going to take it all the fun spots, but one of the days I have to take you to what is the worst bar, the worst congregation of people in one of the worst cities in the United States. And if you might be thinking to yourself like, oh, it's just a really crappy dive bar. No.
Not even close.
It is the most overly hyped, dolled up, bougie looking bar that it just has such a terrible group of people. But frankly, I'm honestly curious though, like what you were about to say though, your perspective of it, because you lasted 15 minutes. You loved every other place we went to. You lasted 15 minutes and you're like, okay, we need to go. We need to leave.
Here's the thing. The other bars, the waterfront was fantastic. The Victorian was fantastic. Buffalo Club, fantastic. The hotel rooftop bars, fantastic. All of the bars that I was checking out, this is new. This is fun. This is what we're getting into. All the other restaurants that we were at, even if it was just stopping in and getting a bite to eat at Surf and Turf, whatever the hell it was called. Beach and Food. I don't remember what it's called.
Beach and Brew.
Oh, Beach and Brew.
Beach and Food. Oh,
close enough.
Okay.
Regardless. Oh, they got a wall of beers. That's really unique. Okay. But I'm not going to take away from it.
Okay.
They had delicious drinks. But the bungalow, and we discussed this, you said, you got to see this place. And it was, without a doubt, the most irritating scene I've ever been a part of. It was fake money, fake influencer, overpriced, hot, crowded, loud.
Yes.
Loud in a bad way, not a good like buzz in the bar. You walk into the bar, it's buzzing. That's a good loud.
Because everyone's talking loud. Everyone's
loud
yelling.
In the worst way. The people that had sections were so pompous and fake and waxy. And I'm like, I'm walking around. I see all natural. Where we've been going, all natural. Girls, go in there. The plastic surgery capital of Los Angeles, that bar. And
the most amount of makeup you've ever seen. Even on some of the dudes, the most amount of makeup you've ever seen.
Bad skin, and then you're going, I'm like, oh, wait, this is the place you want to go on a Saturday afternoon? With this collection of awful people flexing a bottle of bad wine? That's what you do. You want to stay. And the bar layout. I saw you up there at the bar. Thank you, because I had to piss before that. I said, I'm not traversing this. The structure of the bar, impossible to navigate. It had so much potential. It has potential.
Right.
Lift the plastic screens. You have a couple big ass trees on the inside. It should be great, but it's a conglomeration of every bad California, Los Angeles stereotype that you can imagine in one bar, in one place. I had one drink. I was ready to go after the first sip.
I also, not to belabor the whole recap, but I also think it's a really good juxtaposition of what the city's like, in the sense that most places you go, like there's this automatic assumption that everyone in Los Angeles, and if you move to Los Angeles, you live in Los Angeles, it's just crappy fake people who are trying to get caught up with the crowd, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you go to every other place and you bounce around the city, and I didn't even take you to that many places. It was mostly Venice and Marina that we were in the whole time. It's all normal people who move from outside the state to just
that's what it seemed like.
Work.
It
just
seemed
to
like
work. And then you go to Bungalow, and that's where they all. There's a couple other places that are like that. I will never go to them. I have no aspiration to go to them. But I just thought that was really, really damn funny that was your reaction.
Well, you know what? And I love that I got to see it. And next time whenever I travel, I want to see the best bars, and I want to see the worst that you have to offer. We saw the worst in South Dakota. We did. That pizza joint,
yes,
the worst. The Bungalow, the worst. Bowie's Creek, well, we kind of saw the worst in where we were staying, and then we went to.
We went to one place, and it was both the best and the worst bar, which is because there was only one bar.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we did not want to go to the drug den bar, which was a drug den that Joe wanted to take us to. Nope, not soft.
That place I bet that place was bumping on a Friday night.
Yeah, the key bumping is what they were. That's what they were bumping. Okay, pal.
Key bumps.
The Bungalow is number one place that in the contiguous U.S. I'm not going. That's number one.
Man.
I think Potomac Mills Mall outside of Fredericksburg in Virginia is number 2. And then what would number 3 be? There's a really bad bar in Boston that I never want to go back to. Oh, Howl at the Moon in Boston. Howl at the Moon. I'll never go back.
What was so bad about that?
You know the distinct smell of a New England basement party in college.
Doesn't sound so bad.
Fruity vodka smell, stench, sticky floor, no AC. Howl at the Moon, Boston. Never going back.
Sean, I will say I was entertained. I was entertained by the fact that you showed up and I told you, hey, I've got like all these beers that were given to me. I've got like 35 beers in my fridge that I'm trying to get rid of. So have at it. And you managed, I thought like 5 were going to be gone. 5 or 6 were going to be gone. You managed to drink more than half of them, which makes me happy because I'm getting rid of most of them. But I was not expecting that much output from you. I'm proud of that, that you were able to knock out that many, but I was not expecting anywhere nearly the amount that you consumed.
Well, the fun thing about that is that I forgot living with Joe, at least living with Joe now, he didn't realize that the premise of, hey, you want to drink a beer would be accepted every time, whether we were brainstorming on the deck, the bonus show. Yeah, I'll take whatever. Because it's so inviting.
I also jokingly a couple times at like 10 in the morning on Friday, I was like, you want a beer? And you're like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, I wasn't really serious.
Yeah, we hit it a little early each day, but it's fine. It's a very inviting place to have a beer. Los Angeles is. Here, Northern Virginia, it wouldn't be 2:00. And I'm like, let me crack one open. It just does not have that.
That's a lie. That's just a lie.
I'm not saying I haven't, but on a Thursday at 2 p.m., Arlington, Virginia, no, I don't want to do that. When door open, Los Angeles, Joe's apartment, 2 p.m., I want to have an Estrella beer. That's what I want to have. I will fondly remember those beers. I will. You should take pride in that. I will fondly remember them.
Before we continue on with this video, I just want to tell you folks about an exciting new partnership that we have with this channel with Underdog Fantasy. Ever since I joined, I've been having so much fun. There are so many different exciting games that make watching games during the offseason more exciting. I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but it has made it way more entertaining since I found Underdog Fantasy. And my favorite game to play so far, which I think you should try out, is Pick'em. It is so easy to play. Just pick higher or lower on your favorite player's stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Underdog keeps it simple with their easy-to-use website and mobile apps. Pick between 2 and 5 players to fill out your Pick'em slip, get every pick right, and take home some cold hard cash. Use code HACK, H-A-C-K, HACK, like the name of this channel. Use code HACK to get your first deposit doubled up to $100 by Underdog. Go sign up. You won't regret it. You're going to have a blast. Check out Underdog Fantasy. I also want to tell you folks about our other recurring sponsor that we have on this channel, that being BetOnline, betonline.ag, which has all the updated odds, news, and anything for sports betting. It's my go-to source for when I want to be betting specifically on games. I love betting on college basketball or the NBA, especially, again, during the offseason. Always looking for more fun ways to be focused in on some of these other sports. It's betonline.ag and use promo code BELIEVE50. It's promo code BELIEVE50 to get 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, Sean, now to transition us to talking about the 2023 season for Conference USA. We need to properly paint the picture here by talking about the fact that a lot of the important teams from last season are leaving. A lot of new teams, a lot of new faces are going to be competing now in Conference USA in 2023. Now, I'm sure that there are some restrictions, kind of like with JMU, on which teams can compete for the conference championship, all that. I don't want to dive too deep in on that. But what's first important to note here is that they're losing the more important teams in their conference that they are losing. Is UTSA, who went undefeated. They were 11-3 last year. They have a lot of really talented football players. They're not going to be competing in this conference next season. They lost North Texas, which had a strong season last year, but also now has a brand new head coach. And they also lost Charlotte and FAU. So this is a new look Conference USA. Some of the replacements that they brought in, Liberty, Sam Houston, Jacksonville State, and New Mexico State. But the way that I now see this, Sean, with all those teams gone, it is Western Kentucky's conference to lose in my eyes. But first and foremost, though, losing all those teams is pretty significant. And I would argue that they did a pretty good job of making replacements for what they could do.
I think they got gutted, Joe. I mean,
Oh, okay. Tell me how you really feel.
That they got gutted. It happens. And you know what? We can be happy because we covered the teams in Jacksonville State and Sam Houston pretty frequently during our sole FCS talk. And they both were very strong programs with players on both sides of the ball that we felt could have been single A players. And now it's a full single A squad. So if I'm looking at those two additions, familiar with them, and I know what they're capable of and how they were able to run through their conferences in the FCS. Jacksonville State always kept things pretty competitive. Sam Houston State, obviously national champions in the FCS 3 years ago, I'm going to go with. But it's just, I think they became an auto shop. They just gutted it for parts and they added what they could back on. And that's no disrespect to New Mexico State, but it's New Mexico State, right? Like it's a sickos team. That's a sickos team.
Yeah.
We're not gonna deny that it's not.
Put a little respect on New Mexico State, bro.
No, they're sickos. That's a sickos team. Liberty, not as sickos, but it's Liberty, right? You had Malik Willis. You had the big, tall, stiff Antonio Gandy Golden. You had some players that had Golden stiff. Didn't really work out in Washington. Malik Willis, we're seeing what's going on there with Tennessee. So I think every single program here has a potential to put a guy in the next level. And now we have multiple next levels, so that's fine. But to put it blunt and to reiterate, CUSA got gutted. And their mission statement is well and nice, but it's not. They understand where they're sitting at. They are not sitting happy.
We're going to get to some of these new additions in a second, but I get that you're saying that they were gutted. For dealing with the circumstance of losing all of these programs, I can't be too pessimistic about their future for competition. Because Liberty's a really good football program. And I think that some of these other teams like Sam Houston, Jacksonville State are football programs that we know have been committed in putting together competitive programs that we've witnessed and saw what they did at the FCS level. I want to start off with Western Kentucky, though, Sean. I really don't see a universe where Western Kentucky is not the team winning this conference this upcoming year. I think their most likely competition is going to be Liberty. And again, we're going to talk about them in a second. But Western Kentucky, 9-5 last season. Since the Bailey Zappi era, since last year, the past couple of years, under Coach Helton, this has been a very competitive program. This has been a program that can show up at a bowl game and put up 50 points on the board against any conference. If they're playing a bad Power 5 team, they're going to put up a fight. They're that type of football program, and they've put up some guys that have put up some ridiculously gaudy passing and just offensive statistics. Jalen Stearns and Bailey Zappi were the first to do it. And this past year, Austin Reed, who went in the portal and decided to come back, is returning for the Hilltoppers. That is what is so significant to me. That they almost lost Austin Reed to some people believed he was going to go to Florida, that he was going to transfer all the way to the SEC, and he would have been one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC with all the guys that left and that moved on to the NFL. I'm pretty damn optimistic that Austin Reed is going to continue to light up this conference, especially that one of his top receivers in Malachi Corley is returning. They also have Jacquez Evans on defense, who's a strong linebacker. But, man, I'm worried for any of the secondaries that have to deal with this because they got some dudes, and it all starts with the guy delivering the ball, and they're going to continue to put up points.
I'm a fan of Corley. I think Corley's a very solid route runner. I think he's a very solid wide receiver. I wouldn't be surprised if he led the conference in receiving yards and maybe even receiving touchdowns this year. Wouldn't be surprised about that. Austin Reed, is not an SEC quarterback. He's not. And he would not have been a top SEC quarterback.
Sean, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. He could have transferred to the SEC. He is going to be a draft prospect this upcoming cycle. Put some respect on his name.
I'm not disrespecting, but I mean, are we going to be realistic on this show, or are we just going to not be realistic? He could have transferred. He could have transferred if he would have started.
I am being extremely realistic. I know his capabilities. I'm being extremely realistic with what he's capable of putting up. He was getting courted by SEC and Big Ten schools.
Sure. Do you think he would have?
Why do you think he entered the portal? Why do you think he entered the portal?
I'm not saying you're wrong about that.
I'm right.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying, do you think that Austin Reed would have been a better quarterback at Florida than Kyle Trask?
What? Those are unrelated.
No, it's not, because you said he could have played for Florida, and you said he could have been a top quarterback.
He would have started over Graham Mertz, who right now I'm talking about for next season.
I understand, but I have to put it into this perspective of if somebody's saying that a guy from CUSA is going to be a starter, and not only a starter, but one of the better starters in the SEC at the quarterback position, I take that a little more seriously.
Because it's a legitimate statement.
I don't. Maybe in your eyes, it's not in my eyes.
This isn't just like Slappy McGee's transferring in. This is the best Power 5 quarterback Group of 5 quarterback in my opinion, and the best Group of 5 quarterback is good enough to start in the SEC, without a doubt. This is a guy that's moved up from West Florida to Western Kentucky and has shown an ability to throw the ball all over the yard. He can do that, man. He's got a good arm. He's got good accuracy. I don't see a reason why he can't be successful. He's better than Graham Mertz. He is significantly better than Graham Mertz, who's probably going to be the Slappy that they're trotting out there.
I don't know if he's better than Grayson McCall also, but Austin Reed, to the point on the arm.
He's better than Grayson McCall.
Now, if in your opinion, when he can drive the ball with the back leg, he's got good power for a college football quarterback. Good power. Not great power. He doesn't have great arm strength. He doesn't have natural arm whip. So if he's, at the term that you like to say, off platform, then I don't think he's going to have enough zip to get it to his receivers. I've seen him throw nice screen passes where it's like, okay, here, turn, drive immediately in your receiver's hands. That's good. That's what a college football quarterback is expected to do. He's also expected to hit his receivers when they're open, which he does, which I will never complain about, ever. You'll never see me once on this show or in real life complaining about a quarterback for a team that hit his open receivers. I'm not going to make an excuse saying, oh, they're so good, that's why they're always open. They are good. They are open. That's what they should do. That's what their trade is to get open. But watching Austin Reed, I don't think starter at Florida. I don't. I think winner in the CUSA.
You need to get your eyes checked. The guy was getting looks.
I'm happy for him that
he was at one point one of the top quarterbacks in the portal. He was one of the top recruits in the portal until he decided to go back.
So it's Sam Hartman. Give me a break. Good luck with him.
You're saying that Sam Hartman's not good? You're saying that Sam Hartman's not good? Oh,
come on. I'm just saying we had a large quarterback disagreement this weekend, and I'm not going to bring that up. Somehow our wires are always crossed at the signal caller position. We look at different things, apparently.
The irony is that you and I, the fight that we got into was over Anthony Richardson, and you didn't believe in Anthony Richardson's capabilities.
You said he would be a top
this guy's the complete opposite of that
in the next 5 years.
This guy's the complete opposite of that. So I would assume, that's not a ridiculous statement.
It is.
I said that on every radio spot that I went on.
You should never be invited on that radio show again. A top three in 5 years? Shut up.
Well, that'd be like 20 radio stations, so not just one radio station. But
I'm saying for that
Anthony,
that's a bad take.
I said that on every spot that I did. Every spot that asked me about that, and I said that.
I'm happy you're giving them clicks because you don't believe that.
I absolutely believe that because I know how to acknowledge talent. But the irony here is that you would think with a guy who's less traits and more consistent quarterback, you would then be supporting to be a starter. Look, Peyton Thorne just transferred to Auburn. And he's going to start over Robbie Ashford. He's not transferring there to sit on the bench. If Peyton Thorne can go to Auburn, I don't see why Austin Reed can't go to Florida and start and be an above average starter in the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Average starter in the SEC. And
Above average starter in the
I'm not
SEC.
Average. I'm not impressed. The portal is going crazy. Okay. It's going crazy. Anybody's transferring anywhere, and that's fine. And that's good. And you should be able to do it. But I'm getting less and less impressed with transfers ups. I am, because there's a bunch of transfer downs and everyone's looking for new. Look who Alabama brought in for their quarterback position. Look who they brought in, and tell me I should be impressed
because there's
about quarterbacks moving up. Give me a break. Look at who they
That's
brought
not
in.
a moving up, first of all. That's not a moving up, first of all. And then second of all.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That was because of how unconfident, if that's a word, they were in the guys that they have on the roster. They needed a little bit of extra competition. And that's what you get with Tyler Buchner, a guy that your offensive coordinator was familiar with and that your head coach recruited heavily when he was in high school. That's why that happened.
I'm just not impressed with it. And the statement that you think he would be an average quarterback in the SEC. And I think he's a good quarterback. He makes the passes I need him to make. He commands the offense. He doesn't make a bunch of mistakes. I like him as a quarterback. But when you say stuff like that, it has to turn me into the bad guy and make it look like I'm knocking the dude. Whereas he could
kind of knocking the dude.
I'm not knocking the dude, because you're setting these insane values to these quarterbacks.
But
you set insane.
But he was going to transfer.
Value. You juice him up. You're not real. You don't live in the world of reality. That's where you don't live.
I live in the world of reality. I live in the world of projection.
Is going to be a top 3 NFL quarterback in 3 years or 5 years. Guess what? It's not going to happen. And guess what?
I live in the world of projection.
Oh, it's not reality, Joe. And you're not being real with the projection. You're not being real with this projection on Reed. You're not being real with your projection. That is not realistic.
Scouts know how to recognize talent. Just because I know how to
You're
watch
not a
film
scout.
and recognize talent. Yes, I am. I get paid to be a scout. What the hell are you talking about? Just making.
Are you doing your 30 days, 30 schools this year? Is that what you're doing? You're getting your hotels through the Jets, and they're paying for you to go to Rutgers.
I'm not
and then
literally
all down
a
the East
scout,
Coast?
but
okay, you just said you were a scout then. Okay,
because I am literally employed as a college scout for a scouting agency. You're sitting here trying to discredit me.
I'm not discrediting you. It's
you're the same as the assets in the comments.
I'm not going to yell over you, but you say I'm in the projection business, and then you say I work in reality as a scout. No, you can't do. You can try to do both.
Projection is what I'm asked to do, so I'm going to do it. And
Fine,
I believe that Austin Reed is better than you're giving him credit for.
No, I'm being realistic. You are giving him too much credit, which then makes someone else look like to be the bad guy.
Let's see how many yards Austin Reed throws for this year.
I bet he throws for 1 million. I bet he throws for 1 million.
Bailey Zappi,
Western Kentucky throws. Bailey Zappi better than Austin Reed also.
No, that's not true. Austin Reed has significantly stronger arm than Bailey Zappi.
I don't see it.
Absolutely does. Put some respect on Austin Reed's name. Look, Sean, the other team that's only other team that's really worth acknowledging that's returning is Middle Tennessee State. They lost their quarterback, who was a 6th or a 7th year guy, was one of the older guys. Their 2 best returning players, they're not the sexiest names, but Frank Peasant and Troff Llewellyn, their starting safety. Peasant, their running back, who rushed for about 800 yards last year. They've got some decent players. Again, I'm not super worried about them. They don't have a ringer. They don't have a guy that I can point to and say, like, hey, they got a lot of juice. I know that you're a closeted MTSU fan, so you're going to support them, but do you at least kind of agree with that sentiment that they're probably competitive, but they're not going to necessarily be one of the teams challenging for the top?
It's going to be tough. They start off with Alabama, and then they play Missouri.
That's a winnable game.
I would say so. Missouri's not that good. But then it's going to be tough to project. You know what? How do we rate the incumbents versus newcomers? How would you rate that in a conference? Because it's a lot of shakeup. What am I going to project? Am I going to project a Sam Houston State win over MTSU because they're new and they're hungry and no one's ever played each other before. It's going to be a toss-up for MTSU, but they're established. They're kind of reckoned. Here's the thing about the incumbents. They've been recruiting as they recruit for as long as they've been there. And that is caveman talk, but they at least know their lane and they know their recruiting places and they know the talent that they're able to get and they know when they get a steal and they know when they get a lemon. I think that some of the new schools moving to CUSA are still going to have to work around that and figure out, oh, hey, we got all these good recruits. Are they going to be lemons or are they going to be steals? And it's going to take them, I don't know, about a year, maybe 2 years to really figure out what kinds of players they need to win in the CUSA. So it's going to be rocky for some of the new teams, but maybe some of the new teams, maybe Jacksonville State over-recruited for the CUSA, just hypothetically. I doubt it, but hypothetically they did, and they could go on a tear. So maybe they defeat incumbents, but I would still, based on that, say MTSU probably rolls through the incumbents, gets challenged by Liberty a little bit. Or by the newcomers.
Yeah, and again, I'm not like MTSU is not one of those schools where like my whole point is like I'm not that worried about them, but I actually they are adding more than just those three that we've brought up. There are also New Mexico State's coming in. I'm actually, with what we've seen in the history of teams moving up, I feel that Sam Houston and Jacksonville State can provide some legitimate competition to the teams that they're going to have to face.
They could do a JMU. They very well could pull a JMU.
Yeah, I think that with Coastal and JMU did, the way that they recruited, and I've seen Sam Houston and Jacksonville State kind of use that pitch to all the top level FCS guys of like, hey, you want to come over here and get an easy in on an FBS program as we're moving up. Some of the best FCS recruits are going to provide a lot of competition for the teams in this conference.
Easily.
I would say if I were to pick one that would do the most damage, it would probably be Sam Houston. They are a very, very well-run football program. They're a football program that we are very familiar with. I think Jacksonville State's been very up and down. I can't sit here and commit to Jacksonville State and say with certainty that they are going to be a consistently competitive team. They've always proven me wrong, but if I were to pick one of those two, it would probably be Sam Houston.
I think you're right. And you said earlier in the show, the commitment that they have shown to building a program, that's what you see. If you're wondering what these FCS teams are doing in your conference, if you're a Power 5 fan, Group of 5 fan, whatever, and you're like, where do they come from? What do they do? Well, they've built they've committed. That's what they've done. FCS teams that stay in the FCS, typically they know demographically that's where they need to stay, or they're not committed to building. They are happy being where they are, getting their money, having a good time, having a program, making money for the school. So that a lot of FCS teams like that. But some say, hey, we're going to go and we're going to try this thing and we're going to commit to building a program, a stadium, facilities, recruiting, coaching, everything that goes along with a successful college football program. It's all improving. And that's why they're able to move up, because there are people in their administration that cares. And I mean, we even saw, stupid Dixie State or Tarleton State, whenever they joined the FCS, they said, hey, we're going to be here for a year and then we're going Group of 5. And
I have never rooted against the team moving up more than I have with Tarleton.
And I rooted against it also. I hated that mentality that you think you're going up from D2 immediately to G5. I hated that. But at least they had the balls to come out and say, we're looking to improve. We're looking to commit to become an actual football program. And good for them. At the end of the day, that's at least a sign of trying to do that. And that is also reflective of what Jacksonville State, Sam Houston State, what they have done in a less brash manner.
Separate from those teams moving up, the FCS teams moving up, I got to give a massive spotlight here to Liberty and them making this transition. They go and get Jamie Chadwell, which frankly was a really unexpected addition for their new head coach, because Hugh Freeze obviously is now at Auburn. And when Hugh Freeze was there, he turned this team into one of the better small brand independent teams, especially amongst these teams that have moved up. They were in that category of what we just talked about, the Coastal Carolinas and the JMUs that came in and immediately were very competitive. Now he hands it off to Jamie Chadwell, and we saw the results that were produced at Coastal Carolina. I, again, don't really get the whole why he made that transition. I think this was a lateral move. If anything, it was a backwards move because Coastal is in a slightly better conference. But Jamie Chadwell stepping into this position with a lot of the kids that they went after in the portal, they were very active in the portal to the point where I didn't want to sit here and try and write down every single kid that they went and got in the portal. They also are returning some of their important starters, but I'm going to put out there with this Jamie Chadwell offense, they are capable of competing at the top with Western Kentucky and putting up a very, very significant fight.
Here's what's confusing. I don't think Jamie Chadwell is a dumb guy, but he should have realized that Hugh Freeze at Liberty, he was just pulling a Rick Pitino at Iona. He was just going to say, hey, I'm going to get out of the spotlight. I'm going to go here. I'm going to stay coaching, stay fresh, stay sharp, maybe check out some new recruiting trails. That's what I'm going to do until my name gets washed off. It gets rinsed. And Jamie Chadwell, I would say, pretty good name. Doing pretty good at Coastal Carolina. A couple of years, made some really good buzz. I mean, that Coastal Carolina versus BYU game, I remember so fondly because I'm like, look at this. We got some noise going here in these games. This is good. This is fun. Why would you leave Coastal Carolina? It maybe stick it out one more year while you have a nucleus that you have built, and then figure it out, and not go to Liberty. Liberty is Liberty. That's all it's ever going to be. And they'll move around the G5s, and that's cool. But what do you think their max potential is, Joe? ACC?
No, for how long it would take them to get to the ACC, unless the ACC gets gutted, which is certainly plausible. But regionally, they could make sense in the ACC. I think that they actually make a lot of sense as an American team. I'm actually surprised that with Jamie Chadwell joining, that they wouldn't make that jump to the ACC or to the AAC.
I don't know what he's doing. I don't think that Liberty is a step up from Coastal Carolina. Do another year at Coastal Carolina, and then go get a job. Do it. Who's? Well, it's not the same. Never mind. I was going to say Billy Napier, but I mean, shoot. How many times do you think Billy Napier could have gotten the Liberty job? Right.
A million times.
I
would
stuck it out. And got
I would say Louisiana's Louisiana.
It's not the same, but but you know what I'm going.
I do agree. I do agree with that sentiment of like he could have made a lateral move, and what would that have done for him? I wonder how long who's dummy that was here.
Brian Harsin. Yeah, Brian Harsin could have gotten a ton of different jobs. Stuck it out for Auburn. They'll give it the shot. I'll go meet it with the crazies and get kicked out. It's no big deal.
Right.
I don't know.
All right, Sean, I think that's a good note. I was going to say, I think that's a good note to wrap us up on. Conference USA is quite easily the most problematic conference to predict and to talk about because of this whole shakeup. It's also one of the most interesting. So we'll have to see what happens. Drop your predictions in the comments below. We'll be back with more, folks. Enjoy the rest of your week.